Donald did it again. Turn the monitor around. Okay, I'll do that right now. Then I'll start the song. La 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 la. Okay. There. I woke up feeling like I really don't belong. I can't explain it. When I close my eyes, I see a strange reality. Am I dreaming? Or on the edge of remembering? You wake up feeling like you really don't belong. You can't explain it, that when you close your eyes you see familiarity. Are you dreaming? Or on the edge of remembering? It is hammering out there, but strangely enough, it is only hammering on that side of the building. Behind me, it's like, huh? Where is the rain? I don't know. But it's not raining in here, but we do need the extra light. It is so dark in here. I've got the kitchen light on. I got, the usual overhead. And now we've got, thank goodness, this desk lamp. I just got, whoops, and turned off. There's a secret to this. Turn up. Is that 100%? I hope so. All right, we have the chat, we have the tea, we have the water. I have had breakfast, actually kind of twice. I got a grocery order in, And now I am here. Ta-da. Actually, I'm not quite there, but I am here. Somewhere in here. As are all of you. So if you wonder, where am I? Where do I fit in this world? Right there. You got your spot? Don't worry. You're already there, you see. You don't have to go hunting for it. You're just here for a playground. This is the playground. But it's also serious in that we are creating for the future, deliberately where possible, by default for the majority at the moment. But we are learning, and I am teaching. I am one of many teachers. Alas, not enough teachers. But each one of us who teaches another, and then some. So we're good. We're all good. And today we're going to keep working on this until it is done. Actually, will not be able to finish this today, no matter how well I get the color down, simply because we cannot add the gold foil until we have a dry day. It's even with the air conditioning, when it is turned off because the sound has been unrelenting for days. Turn it off a little bit, it'll have to go back on. Despite all of the heavy rain we're getting, we're basically ushering in tropical circumstances. It is going to be like 88 degrees Fahrenheit today, and raining for much of it. Tomorrow comes the Dust Bowl, the haze that comes with, well, land that we have again killed. I know. What a cheerful start to Sunday. It is actually, there are so many good things that are going to arise from the contrast of today that I can't be gloomy about it. I'm glad that I'm where I am right now. I'm so appreciative of everything. So, like, I'm in a good place. I want to bring you with me where possible, but, can't force you, darlings, can't force you. You gotta do the work yourself. Just like, I must learn to use brush. Now, I need to get more water into this. There was a lot more water than there is green, but the green must be preserved. So I think, actually, I'm going to put down yellow first. That's what I was thinking of last night. Yes, this came into my mind almost every waking hour last night when I was awake. Like, where are we going to put more earth, verdant earth? We're weaving a planet, we're weaving a new world. It's up to us how well we do this. Now, I love we got over here, so let's amplify that a bit. Put some more yellow in there. Yeah. We will have our, Now we're revealing a spherical. We're reviving a spherical object. I want to make sure this is very evident. No, I have to preserve that blue. That's just absolutely gorgeous. Got the depth I wanted. And I think we can use a little more down in here. All right. Oops. Over there. Okay. This does mean I'm going to have to give it a few minutes to dry. It's okay. I always have other canvases. I had somebody over yesterday to give them a reading, and it was a good time to teach her about our cooperative components a little more. Now, she's one of my people that comes on my Tuesday class. And so I know, she really can make some major improvements for herself very easily. if she understands what she's creating. And I think we got that across for her yesterday. And she left a lot happier than when she arrived. But we have to learn. When we're born, that's the thing. When babies still can't talk. Before we completely have to don the veil of forgetfulness. There are connections we're still in touch with, just not of this world. We do bring it in to a degree because every baby, every child believes itself to be, without knowing the concept. It just knows it's beautiful, knows it's awesome, knows it's God, knows it's a playground. But of course, we start teaching them right away. Like first we teach them how to communicate, so we even know it's basic stuff, but we don't teach them fast enough. Now, I love the parents who are spending the extra time with their babies to teach them sign language. And I don't understand why every mother who's aware that sign language for babies and infants is available to help their baby communicate their needs better. This will inevitably lead to more understandings of the spiritual side. So I am sad that I see so many mothers that are, So are you one of those mothers that doesn't mind listening to your baby cry incessantly and you can't figure out what's wrong with it? This is why I'm not a mother. Actually, I am, but I'm not in this realm, in this dimension, which is fine with me. It was a choice. Nevertheless, I like to see people raising their babies to be the awesome human beings that they're meant to be. And it kind of gets me down when I see those who are just lackadaisical about the whole thing. And that's the women. I won't even discuss the men. Now, I know so many people are not happy about this, but I can't help it. I love it so much. The rain. There were times when we begged for rain, and there are people begging for rain. It's just, I guess, they feel like the wrong people are getting it. But it's always the wrong vibration again, massive amounts of people misunderstanding their actual power in this world. It's got nothing to do with weapons. But, yeah. I wish more people were striving to see the love that they come from, that they're composed of, that is their power to create in this world. Because that love is just so effervescent and healing, and it feeds everyone. We'll just have to wait. I guess when we have enough contrast to what we desire, we endeavor to make some changes. Like this. Now, yesterday, this was going so well. I found myself dancing in rhythm to the feelings of the colors. And, yeah, it was great. However, I was so enthusiastic last night. I couldn't sleep as much as I wanted. I got up thinking, I get to paint today, and then I got all excited and I got up and made tea because I was thinking about this painting. And since it is my desire now to paint joy, I just gotta go with it. If I feel joyful, I have to get the hell up. So that was kind of the energy of this morning. Nevertheless, I did make time for my SimCity game. Goodwicket must do well there to hold the upper end of the social contract of being the president of the club, you know. Gotta have a good example. Let's get some over there. Oh yeah, we're gonna have to preserve that later. Now this is a problem today. I wanted to do more of the acrylic resin work, but it's raining so harshly. I probably will have to wait a couple days. Oh God, a couple days? No, we will just turn that air conditioner back up. And, you know, one thing I have not invested in, really I should consider that now, is a dehumidifier. They were life-saving when I had my cannabis garden. Any intense indoor gardening, you're going to have a humidity problem. But here in New England, we are clearly having humidity problems. Some harsher than others. I hope no one loses their homes, of course, but yeah, I've been through some floods in this, near, like, North Carolina. Watching those fields flood was just so bad. Because, you know, you work really hard at planting and things, and luckily for us, most of those years we did not have to directly rely on the garden for our food, but in the last 8 years it was way more important than it started out being. Okay, we're getting some color separation now from the like I planned it. That's what the resin stuff is for, to act as a resist, preserving the colors beneath it and amplifying them so we get that extra light coming up, as if these are oil paints instead of flat, dry looking acrylics. Of course, we still are very dry over here, except where there's that stuff. And the ink really held on over here and made it darker than I was planning, but all of that gets changed, and I don't want it to be too much different because this is supposed to represent space. And then we're going to add the energy of the stars. Rusty the human! Are you still Rusty being a human? Good morning. Been around enough. I'm working on a painting called Weaving the New World, or Weaving a New World. I'm making a 12 by 16 by 20 version of the original 8 by 10. I'm having a blast. I hope you're having a wonderful day so far, and will continue to do so. I am going to wash Yeah, we'll wash that blue away and be right back. Charlie! Oh, good. Did you ever find a toothbrush? So you're about halfway there. Yay! We are, although it's dark right now because of the storm, it is very, very heavy rain. Ah, yeah, good, good. You can hear it hitting the roof. If my microphone is that good, I'm not sure. I love it. Okay, now you can see it there. But it's slamming into this side of the building, so it's coming from the east. Oh, dear. A lot of water. Anyway, we're going to have like tropical conditions today. 88 degrees and higher if you take in some kind of heat factor. Oh, wow. So Grandma's, is she staying with you? That's awesome. Oh, well, to her place. How many places does she have? Oh, I didn't. Okay. Oh, so you guys like all got together for the farm, and then she goes back to. How cool is that, Charlie? Yay! Get something on my nose. Feel like a rabbit. Multiple places. I was thinking this morning about old fantasies, old dreams, things maybe I haven't let go of them completely. You never know what can happen with my life. You don't know, these things that are other place sometimes. What is that, Rusty? I cannot read it, darling. Let me see if I can see that. I had cataract surgery. I just brought my shoe rings. That little person doesn't look very happy, Rusty. What's the matter? You are Rusty at being human. There's a person in a couple other houses she's built. Oh, well, I guess we don't have to worry about you getting through your university. Awesome. Now, I remembered my dream about going to France. I want to go to France. I want to see southern France. I want to see Paris. I want to have a croissant and a cafe. I have many icons, like this one, my royal egg from Namaris. What doth thy mean, Rusty? Also, how old are you, Rusty? I was assuming you were like, in your 20s or something. But lack of communication might indicate a very much younger person. Oh, you are your 20s. Excellent. 29. I used to be 29. A lot of years ago. Actually, from 29, yeah, decades ago. I'm 40 years older than you. I'm sure she would, because no mama likes to ask a mama for more help unless it's really, really necessary. I watched my mother go through that with 4 little girls after the divorce. Because every time she wanted help, that meant her mother would give her hours of how much she hates the ex-husband. There was always a payment that was emotional and unpleasant. Not all parenting is good. Oh, look, it's making a nice separation there. Oh, that's going to be gorgeous later. All right, I'm going to move this away because I don't want to get tempted to put down more wet. While this is still wet, I'll move it, and I don't want to move it. It's got to be solid. Then, and then. Ah, there's Rusty. All right. With the wings. I love the wings. I'm big on wings. It looked like a castle from here. Are you a castle with wings? Like a rook? So Rusty, hello. How long has it been? Dun, dun, dun. So I put the resin on this, acrylic resin, whatever the hell it is, the mystery ingredient, I'm just going to call it. And strangely enough, I got 2 bubbles in it. Okay. Oh. Interesting. Oh, yeah, adults will play, huh? Oh. Trying to grow plants, not knowing why. Oh, dear. Not knowing why? Well, you need oxygen? Plants are good to supply oxygen, but they suck up your oxygen when you're sleeping at night, when the lights are out. While the lights are on, they give you oxygen. When the lights are out, they suck it up. Do you want that in your room? Oh, yeah, I get that. I totally understand that, Charlie. My stepfather has a large art collection, and so what he did, because there's a bunch of us, he took pictures of everything, numbered them, and then sent us the physical sheets with the pictures, and they're all numbers, and said, in order of your desires, which ones do you want? And then he's got to make a decision, because it's obvious that with all of us, there's probably going to be a lot of overlap with us wanting the same pieces. So, but holy basil, don't do that. That's not a real thing. All plants, if they have green in them, chlorophyll, this is how they function. This is how they breathe. They have photosynthesis. Unless you're talking about like an Indian pipe, which grows in the woods, and it's almost transparent because it doesn't use chlorophyll. But if it produces chlorophyll, it's going to use some of your air. And why are you growing holy basil? Are you a cook? Now, maybe you can get something like purple ruffles basil. which is dark purple, and it's awesome. The flowery, oh, the smell of those leaves, just touch them. We have some growing downtown in front of some, I don't know, public office kind of little brick building, and every time we go by, I gotta touch one of those leaves. I used to grow it. It's just so delicious, and you use it like every other basil, but it's dark purple, so it's really rad. It also gives you a lot more plant. Very easy to grow, and because it's dark purple, you might not have as much oxygen sucking power with that one. I'm not sure. The point is, I have plants. Now, mine in this case are succulents. I have like this, because I'm sick of raising plants. Okay, it's rock, pieces of little rock up to here so that it doesn't sit in water. And these plants do not put out deep roots. So it's not like you need a lot. They actually like the smaller pots, but they need good drainage. So I have two of these, and I've got two similar, and then I got this weird thing. Apparently this is our family plant. I got sent this in the mail and immediately wanted to die and fall off, but I keep throwing the little pieces that fall off back in here, and now they're forming little babies. They love neglect, so if you suck at taking plants, get a succulent. Yeah, I've had gardens. I had a farm for 17 years in the South. I had ended up, because of pollution, turning into, instead of field, going to pots. So I have experience in ground and amending that, in doing lasagna gardening, and doing organic gardening, non-organic, and the non-organic gardening, hydroponics. I grew cannabis for the sick people in hydroponic. Used coir, and that's coconut. So I have experience in it, somewhat. I know that if you're having a problem and you're using the same dirt over and over, your pH is off for sure, and you're using crap fertilizer, or it's over fertilized, and it can't absorb its nutrients anymore. No matter how much you put in, it makes it worse. So don't use fertilizers unless you really have to. So you try to grow plants, but you don't know why. Well, I grew lots of herbs because I love cooking. Also, I made all my own medicines. So that's a good reason. That's a why. You like the feel of it. You like something to take care of. You like life in your environment. The dear old Southland of North Carolina. 17 years out there. I've found something to love everywhere I've lived in this country, and I've lived in several places. Shredda! It's Sunday. Sunday's an early day. We start at 10:30, but I started even before that because I was too enthusiastic not to. Are you already at work, or you have the day off, it being Sunday? Or are you too enthusiastically working on a project because you have to, because your enthusiasm demands? Ah. Oh, really? With no job? Uh-huh. Oh, that's right. That's right. Twitch. For a minute, I was confusing you with one of our other friends, the all-seeing guy. So, hugs, darlings. So, what is going on with all of y'all today? Any questions, any problems, any agonies? No, I don't want drama. But if you have something that you're trying to deal with and you think you need a little help, maybe I can help. It is my training. Also, I'm volunteering. So, you choose. Darn, I wasn't expecting those. But let's see if we can remedy that. I was talking about babies. What kind of babies? Yes, I woke up at 5 o'clock and started thinking about the paintings I was going to work on today. And I got so excited I had to get up, but first I had to finish some competition in SimCity. And I designed a city for a contest, and right now I'm at a 4.5 out of 5 rating for my city. So I'm peppy. What about babies, Rusty? City Skylines 2? I haven't played that. I am addicted to this original SimCity. I love how you can turn and go all the way around the buildings, and they put so much into their 3D kinds of buildings. Everything else I tried just did not give me the ability to manipulate the buildings and the view as much as I wanted. Oh, Rusty! Thank you for getting me back on track. At my age, I need that. Yeah, sign language. When we are new. Oh, and look, I've got the right piece of work in front of me for this conversation. When we come out of this is us. Okay, this represents the human me. Let me just give you some context. This is mine, personally, but you're probably here because if you're interacting with me, you're part of my matrix. You may be one of the ninja stars that come out. You may be one of my students that's a little closer. But here's the real us, the bigger picture, the bigger us. So this is me as the person you see on your screen, and this is the real me. It's much bigger. And when I leave here, I just go home. It's not a big deal. It's a very short step. Now, I don't have to go right away. I've got friends, and everybody, when I ask for something, everything is heard and felt through all my friends who are in this state, and may be in this state as well, but mostly in this state because they have the little ninja stars of synchronicities and all that. But when we are born, we have the understanding that we are connected to our entire amazing network of all that is. We know that we are immortal. We know that we are beautiful. We know that we are genius. We know this for a fact for us when we come here. Unfortunately, little baby brains are dropped into little baby humans, and little baby humans are immediately being influenced by their environment. The parents, the loving parents, no matter how awesome the parents are, no matter how perfect they are, it is impossible for the little bitty baby to understand everything through here. Everything starts coming in through their physical body, touch. Our first wonderfulness and security all comes from how we are touched as just born. Not counting the slap that gets us breathing and empties our lungs of the fluid so we can breathe. But we have to have parents that understand, that we have to be handled very gently. But we still have no ability to communicate other than crying and smiling. Because when we're born, we're blind. We don't even really see. We don't see color for a while. We have actual stages. That's why people describe their newborns as so many months old, because it goes back to like specific growth, just like they know cells split in a certain rate, like E. coli, what causes, urinary tract infections. That thing splits in your bladder every 20 minutes. We know that. So we know how all of these cells, we've been looking at this for years now, how our cells multiply at a certain rate, and this includes all this, and our stimulation, we can only understand this at this age and this at that age. And yes, we cooperate. But because there are so many lacks of understanding. It's more understood now than ever, all right? But we still have a lot of people resistant. So that's where the understanding came that we can relate to our environment earlier than we thought, because the old-fashioned ways of bringing up a child, which was very natural, I mean, you give birth, you have this little being, and then you do to it what was done to you, basically. You know, you got to keep it warm, you need to keep it fed, and someone somewhere along the line reminds you that don't let the neck bend a certain way, and if they drop on the head, you know, blah, 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 and don't let this happen, and don't let that, and it's handed down. So we know the basics about keeping the thing alive after it gets here. But in terms of communicating effectively, that's more recent. So now we know a parent who is willing to work with their newborn can frequently have these little breakthroughs of understanding when they teach them sign language. And they can learn sign language. They may not be ready for the words, and they not have the development of their vocal cords and mouths yet, no teeth yet, which our teeth help us form sounds. So everything matters how old you are. So if you can teach a baby the basics to tell you when it's hungry, when it wants to go to sleep, when it's wet, needs changing, they can do that. They can be taught that. And I feel sad when I see parents who know about it, but they don't make the time for that. They're just going to do it the way they were brought up. And then they wonder why. Well, I wasn't happy as a child. I wonder why. And they just go ahead and do the same exact things, and then they make another unhappy child. So I believe that we come here with an innate wisdom. Number one, we of course are wired for survival. So that's a no thinker. You don't have to think about you breathing unless you're doing deliberate breathing, deliberate breath for different reasons, like relaxing, bringing more oxygen into your system, etc. But all of that stuff is taught, and someone has to learn it first to share that. So I'm really thrilled to be here at this time when I'm watching more people become more, I know the word, awakened. They're awakened to the fact that human beings develop on different levels that we have previously have been even looking at. Everything about our studies has been like, well, you got the psychology group, you got the biology group, then you got the ones just in between trying to figure out who to listen to when they're raising a baby. But I believe that this innate wisdom, which is for the most part programmed out of us by society until we get a grip and go, oh yeah, wait a minute, I have power. I am awesome, and just because, like I grew up with Barbie dolls, I didn't play with one, I didn't like them. My sister had one, hard plastic, completely unrealistic. I knew what my mother looked like. My Barbie doll was nothing like my mom, except they had nice waistlines. So, I have to think about it. We have to decide what we want for our future, what we want for every bit of our future. And there is no daydream that's too big or small, just what do you want? What will make you happy? The thing is, as a parent, you want your kid to be, we're talking the average, happy, average, I don't know if happy as well. I've seen parents even after they've divorced and before they've divorced. You're not fighting all the time. You do have those moments when you're happy, and you do have some memories with your parents. I hope everybody does. At least a few moments that were good. If you don't, I'm sorry. You are in the minority, but yeah, it sucks. There's a lot of bad parenting out there. We know that. But I think part of the bad parenting is not just ignoring the child. Sometimes the kid's better off when they are ignored, because then they have to make their own decisions and guide their own path. And they're going to do that. They're going to take the path of least resistance, which is one of the things we recommend. Doesn't mean lazy. It means you decide what you want, but you don't have to force your way to getting what you want. You want to feel your way to what you desire. The world, and that's where the ninja stars come in, while your cooperative components are supporting you with whatever you want. The units above us, they're everywhere. that which we call God, the source of all things, the creator or creator force, whatever you are able to connect with emotionally works. They're just words for a concept that is that which exists beyond us, even though we can't prove it or explain it. But more and more of us are getting understandings that, oh yeah, we can prove it in our own lives. We can't put it on a graph for another person, but we can prove it every single day in our own lives. It exists. It's a power that we're powered by. We're projections of our higher self. We're temporary. Our higher self is as close to being immortal as possible. So yes, we are them. The components, everything cooperates, and it all is manipulated by your feelings. So when our childhoods are disrupted and we are finding ourselves in situations where we are forced into things that we are definitely not happy about, at the same time that's happening, it is also creating a just as powerful opposite, which means this is not something you have to croak and discover. This is something you can look forward to in the future. As sucky as your life may have been then, you're creating something just as wonderful in the future. If you get out of your own way, it will pop into your life. It's waiting. You cannot create one thing without creating the opposite. How strong your opposite is all about how you are feeling about it. If you learn not to react, you learn to stop, think before you take action. If you listen to your inner self, you will make better choices. And if the inner self, good. But Solomon's temple fell. Don't compare yourself to something in the past. The past is fucking dead. Please keep reminding yourself of that, because as long as you are in the past, you are putting energy, ideas, thoughts, all the stuff that can be going forward to create a happy future, you're putting it into symbolism from the past. Now, I do understand attraction to that. I grew up with images of Solomon's temple. I also have a fondness for Egyptology and mythologies, Roman, Greek, Egyptian. I have 2 statues of deities that were once worshipped, but that doesn't mean I worship them. I happen to like dogs and cats, so I have Bast and Anubis. So it's got nothing to do with putting energy into those old histories. I do not want to create somebody else's temple. My temple is my temple, not Solomon's, and nobody else's. You keep making your temple Solomon's, you're not going to have control over your body, not in terms of its longevity or its health, because you're making it someone else's. Solomon is no longer on this planet. He's not. Your body is your temple. It's Shredda's temple, or your real name. So don't mistake this. This is how we get ourselves in binds. This is part of the programming that starts when we're infants. You are indoctrinated with your parents' belief systems. And then on top of that, you've got societies, behavioral codes, unconsciously embedded, and those consciously. You're taught to do certain things. You do this when that happens. You do this when that happens. Yes, strict moral code. There you go. And why is your moral code so strict? Again, rigid. Rigidity gets nowhere. And I do understand what you're saying, but it's still, you have to claim it as your body. Stop making it somebody else. You stand. Wherever you stand is your church. Wherever you stand, you are the God of your church. If you don't accept that responsibility, you're going to have more difficulty creating the realities you desire, because you're going to be waiting for some big daddy in the sky to give it all to you. And it doesn't work that way. You already have it all. The minute you think of what you desire, bam, it's in your vortex, waiting. But if you keep humbling yourself, it's bullshit. Who are you humbling yourself to? Where is this strict moral code? A devotion to what? What are you trying to achieve? You're tearing down your temple by giving it these very oddball rules. These are rules that are handed down through belief systems. Again, When are you going to let your own belief system arise within your own spirit? When are you going to let that all in so you can have what you desire? You have to be a deliberate creator of your future. And that can't happen while you're giving credit for everything that happens to something else. Here is your cooperative component. This, for me, is a symbol of the energy of the Raphaels. Again, it's symbolic of healing angels. I know we're all angels. So I give this extra credit because I'm looking at it as a conglomerate of entities which do healing, which prefer to focus on the balancing of certain energies. But they don't do it unless we are in the position emotionally to allow it. It's already there. You ask for healing, it's given. But if you don't believe you're worthy of it and you start comparing yourself to other people or other situations, you have sunk your own desire. Well, angels are what we call energy forms when we are visited by them and we are not able to perceive them for what they are. We see the energy dissipated. When I go out to this specific event, knowing that there are going to be people there who specialize and study and work to be able to see energy, I play with them by moving my energy, by moving my human energy field, aka aura. I can control it. I can change its color. I can change its shape. And I play with some of these people because it's fun. And I love when they come up to me and say, I have to tell you, you have an enormous protective energy walking behind you. It looks like a gigantic angel. Well, you have to have that or there's no sense for you being here, Shredda. Yeah, there's no reason here but to create and expand all that is. We're here to expand the universe, not shut it down by forbidding ourselves the pleasures that we created here to indulge in. I am not saying be a complete hedonist. I'm not saying take food out of somebody's mouth if you're hungry. No, I'm saying that if you're operating properly, you'll not have to do that, that you will have enough food to share with others. You will have enough money to share with others. And every time you cut yourself down, you cut off the flow for all of that, for you. But you have to take care of you first before you have something to give to others. And no one's saying you have to have lust, but if you have a healthy physical body, you will have lust at some point when you see something that turns you on. Don't shut it down. Your body was made to enjoy your entire physical skin. Every inch of you is a sensory organ. We're encased in a sensory organ. It's meant, it even has two senses on its own. One of them is to perceive hot. One is to perceive cold. One is to know this without having to think about it. And so you automatically take something off because your organs are regulating things for you. You don't have to think about it consciously. You do have to reach for that sweater when you're cold, and you do have to take it off when you're warm. But that is told to you by your body. Your body has all of this sensory data. It's feeding you. And to pretend that you don't have it because you think it's to enjoy it is to do something wrong. Well, honey, you got to look back and see, where did these teachings come from? Who taught you this? Because they didn't come out of the air. You were not born with them. And the source of all things is that's the last thing the source wants you to do is shut yourself down. You think it was easy being born? Forming a body? You need constant nourishment or you will die. This is something that requires maintenance. You're maintaining it to what? shut it off, then why are you here? No. You automatically go back to source between every life. If you don't want to come back, you don't have to. You're not forced. That is a misunderstanding. Again, belief systems. It's punishment. That's because people suffer here. Because people don't understand what the contrast is for. The greater the contrast, the brighter the light. And that's what's happening right now, because the light is shining brighter than ever on this planet. And the people. More people are waking up. And now, because people are waking up, we got a whole bunch of assholes out there going, oh, woke, bad, whoa. Equal rights, what? Being respectful, what? Thinking of the poor instead of the rich? No, we're working at balance all the time. But you have to decide what part you want to contribute to personally. But you don't have to even think about that. All you have to do is pay attention to how you feel. If you were feeling happy, joyful, energetic, then you're going in the right direction. If you're feeling down, depressed, shut off, you're definitely shutting off your own tube, your own straw to the source. You can't sever it. You can't sever it no matter what you do. You will always be a member of the community of life. Whether you're here on the planet as a manifestation or you're back home with all your buds. This is the humor of the death sentence for criminals. Killing them sends them right to the heart of love, where they drop all of the concerns of having been human, including all their angers and all that, and they are healed of their pains. So what are you doing? If you really want to punish someone, you make them live in a miserable condition. Low life princess, I'm absolutely awesome. See, people have starved themselves with the idea that they are going to create something by force. But you can't do that. You're here to work with everybody. You're here to work with yourself, but you're not here to save the world. And you're not here to have to save yourself because you're already safe. What we are misled by are the people who keep telling us what we're missing in life. Oh, if you don't do this, you're going to be like that. Yes, we give them the best medical care we have. We give them what they need. We reach out with our hearts with love. You know, I love how people talk about their being so Christian, but they can't wait to cut off half of humanity. We're Christian, but only if you fill these needs to us. You have to be, white, or you have to be virgin, or virgins have to wear white, and we've got so much bullshit surrounding our just here to enjoy living and take care of each other. But Christians piss me off more than anybody because they're the ones that say they follow Jesus. Well, baby, Jesus never said build a wall. Jesus said build a longer table. Everybody needs a seat at the table. Everybody deserves love. Everybody deserves support. Yeah, the best food, the best medical care. And you know what? Right now, if people weren't being such greedy assholes, that could be. But we're not saying that everybody's going to give up what they want. The point is that you should be paying attention to what you want. And if what you want is to see people happy, then what are you doing about it? And if you want to see people fed, well, I know famous chefs that are donating every penny they've got to feed the poor. And they're going around the world to wherever there's a tragedy and feeding people. And this one guy's using all the profits from his restaurants. He charges a good amount of money. And he takes that money, all the profit, not counting what he pays his people, of course, and he gives it all away. He said, how much money can you have? It's more important that a person have a good meal in their stomach. It's hard to face the day. It's hard to think of a new way to live if you're hungry. So all of these things count. Everybody counts. And if you are finding yourself saying you don't count because of you don't like this, or you do this, or you look like that, then you're the problem. You are the problem. And you have to reevaluate how you are viewing other people and the world and how you see yourself. Are you a part of us? Yes. You're a part of us, whether you think you are or not, and whether you want to be or not. You can kill yourself and you just go you're right here and you go, oh shit, I wasted that whole life. Duh. Can I get online to come back? Yeah, of course. Come on back. As soon as there's an opening. See where you land. You'll take on new challenges. Let's see you rise about you. We love the contrast. We love challenges. Life is boring as fuck all if we don't have some. So you can sit and twiddle your thumbs forever and wow, are you an interesting person? There are people I know who spend their life in meditation and they are contributing to the greater good in their own way. Because while they are keeping themselves out of whatever else is going on, at least they're not contributing to the crap. So that's one thing. But if they're doing it with the idea that if they have no desires and they take on no material things, that they don't have to come back, they're missing the point of being here. And as soon as they go home, they're going to go, oh, well, I kept a nice garden. And we did contribute to the food there. And hey, the Benedictine monks make a hell of a liqueur. There's some nuns in my estate that are known for their amazing cheeses and beef. So everybody contributes in their own way. If they get out of their own way, you'll have what you need, what you want. But as long as you are in the way, judging yourself, judging other people, bad for yourself. You don't change what happens to other people, whether you judge them or not, but you do change what's happening to you. The more judgmental you are, the smaller your world gets. The more you hoard, the less you're going to have in the end. It just works that way. I mean, have you not heard about multi-millionaires suddenly going broke and finding themselves in soup kitchens? It happens every day. People win the lottery and then they blow it because they don't bother learning how to manage it. So yes, money management is one of those things you might want to pick up on a little bit if money is something you want to accumulate. Yeah, I'm not saying that you shouldn't make an effort towards what you want, but you're here to want things. The world is set up to make you want things. I'm not talking Madison Avenue. I'm not suggesting that you should want crappy things. I think you should be a conscious creator. I am not an art collector, but I'm an art creator. I love it. It turns me on. It gives me energy. Can't wait to get here every morning and see what's going to come out on the canvas because I usually don't know until I sit down. So this morning when I thought at 5 o'clock in the morning of the world painting I'm working on, I was psyched. I got filled with energy. And that is how you know your pipeline is wide open to your vortex, to all of the supporting components. And I know that what I need is going to be there when I need it. I don't have to accumulate it and pile it up waiting for that rainy day. It's raining now. And as someone who has lived through many different kinds of life experiences, from homelessness more than once, extreme poverty, I have always been taken care of my entire life because I've always known that I am more than what I see in the mirror, because I was very fortunate to be awakened when I was just between 3 and 4 years old, and things clicked and things changed. And then I still was not, I wasn't afraid of dying, so I tried to kill myself at 12 because things were kind of sucky. But I didn't know I had power to change them, you see. I was just trying to survive them, and it was like, you know what, Papa, I'm coming home, I'm tired, I don't want to be here anymore, and I tried to kill myself, which obviously failed at. So what happened when I woke up was the guidance that I'd been talking to my head all my life, of all 12 years old. Well, since I was, like I said, between 3 and 4, I became aware that I wasn't alone. I was brought up very religiously, so I did believe in a God. As soon as they gave me the concept of God, I thought that's who I was talking to. And God, when I was between 3 and 4, taught me the difference between, in my imagination, projecting some dancing skeletons on my television that was turned off in the middle of the night, or what I was hearing with them. And that's when I got the understanding between the voices that were talking to me and what I was imagining was happening. And the images that I was imagining immediately disappeared, and I was like, oh, okay. And I was fine. I went back to bed. When I was 12, I was able to hear them much more clearly, and they explained a little bit more about who they were, and that's when I found out that the one was not one but many. And of course I asked childlike questions at 12, like, what's your name? And I got no name. And I got laughter, giggles, chuckles, not laughing at me, a gentle laughter. And then finally, the more questions I asked and tried to pin them down. Are you a boy or a girl? What's your name? Well, where do you live? Are you in the sun? Are you in the clouds or in the sky? And then it was like listening to a chorus of laughter that was more akin to sounds like bells. It wasn't voices. And so I gave up trying to communicate with, okay, all right, I know you're with me all the time. And they were. And they helped me perform my own little miracles in my life. I'm not interested in Kabbalah. I was brought up in Orthodox Judaism. I know about the Kabbalah. And like I said, I have rejected all religious doctrine, and that's among them. I go direct, and so I trust my direct connection for any information that I need that's going to contribute to my happiness or the welfare of anybody that I am supposed to, not necessarily supposed to, but are guided in my direction. Eat, my darling, eat. Oh, you're not home yet, are you? I know that we are trying to figure out our world through books, through handed down things. And I will say that wherever there is numerology, I would put a little bit more faith in that than anything like astrology or tarot. And yes, I do read cards. But when I say tarot, I mean in tarot in terms of it predicting your future. You're here to create your future, which means you predict yourself into your future. And the math is going to be more relevant to people who are physicists, ultimately. People who are working with math, trying to figure things out. No, it's not all numbers, it's Hebrew. Oh, right, Charlie. But again, I left the temple when I was 15 years old because I saw the hypocrisy, I saw the lack of answers. You see, one of the things that is in all religions, that they talk about God talking to you and God guiding you through scriptures or your Bibles, your Kabbalah, your anything, any religion. They all have their own books. Some books are shared, some are not. But the bottom line is they are asking you to believe somebody else instead of you. And you will always be given the answers that are most relevant to your current incarnation and your current situation, because the universe knows everything. So you either trust in that, or you surround yourself with what, for me, has become just more superfluous information. It was all created by people who were trying to figure out the universe, but they weren't looking within. Just like we keep trying to create things by pushing on them, we keep trying to create things with words, but the problem is the world does not coordinate with our words. It coordinates with our feelings. The vibration of our feelings is our voice to the immortal. You see, it's not talking. I can talk all day. You can read anything you want. It's not going to do it. It is how you feel. And if you find yourself reading things that make you feel overwhelmed and tiny, then you're reading the wrong things. You're supposed to be feeling expansive and beautiful and genius and inspired. And if you are not feeling inspired, you're definitely turning yourself into the wrong direction. Where is it you're bogging yourself down? Now, I'm not saying give up your religion, because if it's doing something important for you, Whatever feels good is what you go with. If what I tell you doesn't feel right or feels bad, please stop listening, because you're not in the right place to hear me. You're just not. And it's okay. Wherever you are is the right place for the moment. It's you who must decide where you want to go. What do you want to do while you're here? This is the only time you're going to be in this body, in this timeline, in the place you're at. One shot. All right? You only get to be the you see in the mirror one time. And then it is immortalized as its own thing. But you will only be this once. You are here now. What can you do now with what you know, with what you have? What do you want to do? What do you want to change? What gets you excited and glad to be alive? If you haven't found that, that's what you have to look for. But what does that mean, Shredda? What does that mean to you personally? I can show you the Hebrew letter, the G. It means garden, just the letter by itself. And a Yud is eternal life. What is the number 144 to you? Does it mean something special? Because if it doesn't, it's just another freaking number that rolls around. And as we know, all the numbers are made up of 0 to 1 or 1 to 0. Well, now you're trying to interpret something that was written 6,000 years ago by Jews, to whom came up with the idea of the Kundalini or anything there. That's another religion. It's another belief system. You're trying to match one with the other because they happen to do that. Yes, we're all connected. You're going to see nothing but support for your beliefs, as long as that's where you're going. But are they serving you is the question. Knowing about this or that. Whether Jesus actually lived or not, I believe he's an ascended master. He's just another person who figured out who he is. And that's what enabled him to do what he did. That which was really done. But we know about the game of telephone, how things change. And we know that people wrote things specifically to control other people. And also putting things together to try to make sense of their world. Good. Give up interpreting. It's not doing anything for you. It's not making your life better. If it's making your life better, then by all means. But Shredda, you're looking for something and you don't know the answer to. You're trying to find yourself, but you're putting yourself out into all these different belief systems. Like it's going to give you the answer of who you are and what you should be doing. You're not listening to your body. You're not listening to your feelings. It's the feelings that are going to guide you, not the belief systems. You will be poorly guided. You will end up basically perpetuating the misery that we are seeing in the world today because you are following the old beliefs. And this is a new world we're coming into. It's that simple. So religion, whether you see it allegorically or literally, unfortunately, we have a large population in the United States that sees it literally. The evangelicals, all right? But half of them do not, because they're doing everything that's anti-Christ. They're hating on people left and right. They're trying to separate themselves from the rest of humanity. That's anti-Christ, anti-light. So we got those here too. So the thing is, yeah, you got the true believers who think they're rooting, they're praying for Armageddon, they're praying for the destruction of the world. Whoa, are they sick? So where do you stand? You want to help this world move on? You want to help yourself? You want to be happy in this incarnation? Or do you want to just end it all? Which I'm not suggesting, because we'll be laughing at you. Like, oh, sucker, you got sucked into that? You took your own life? Asshole. You're not here long enough to do that. You wasted a body. You wasted a time. Oh, yes, that's somebody suffering from depression. That's what depression is. Tired of everything, overwhelmed. There is. And that's up to you what you see. You can see the mold on the ground and announce it, oh, that's disgusting, clean it up. Or you can take that mold and put it under a microscope and get blown away at its rainbow beauty. It's up to you what you want to make here. If you're not getting up and finding things to be happy about and be enthusiastic about, you're going the wrong direction. Whatever your belief system that is leading you into that unhappiness is the wrong one for you. It may be that you feel like you need to suffer. Some people, unfortunately, get that embedded, that there is no good life without suffering and sacrifice, but that's all bullshit. It's all, again, all the wrong information being handed down. You have options now. You can look, you can prove it to yourself that the world will bend because it's your world. Your world for you. My world for me. I cannot create in your world no matter how much I want for you. I can love you madly and I still cannot make one single thing happen for you. Other than literally give you something. Here you go. I can't change you. I cannot guide you. Anything you do is voluntary. Especially once you're an adult and you know that. No one controls your brain. No one's inside your head. Your connection to higher power, or however you want to call it, that's something that you feel. It's not a voice like me talking, but yes, you will hear words. You will connect. The better you connect, the better you feel. As a matter of fact, literally, the better you feel. So you should be aiming for happiness. Why waste your time being sad? Why torture? You came here with a body. Now, there are a lot of people I know who are unhappy with their bodies. And they are trying to rise above their bodies and make their bodies unimportant because they have essentially rejected their own bodies. It's a problem because it's actually a self-esteem issue. They are equating the state of their body with their state of deserving, perhaps, or their ability to create a happy future. But the body is a reflection of our misunderstandings about how we create. I'm sorry, Charlie, but saying you're hungry is not going to make you less so. Wherever you put your focus, you're magnifying it. Your best option at this point, Charlie, is distraction of your mind. Just like dealing with chronic pain. I can focus on pain or I can focus on my joy. Which one do you think is going to make me love my life more? This or Now, I have physical ails that began, matter of fact, were discovered when I was 12 years old. Oh, coincidentally, the year I tried to kill myself, because my life was in such uproar that I literally tried to bend in 3 directions to please everybody. That's what happens. That's the birth of scoliosis. When a child has to turn herself or himself inside out to please the adults around them, to be accepted by them, to be loved by them. And that is a sad thing for children. But it's also the fact that it happened was because at 12 years old, I was too young to understand the complex ideas that I'm passing along to you. There was nobody there to understand and speak to me until the 80s. And in the 80s, I discovered Seth Speaks. And it was instant resonance. And I knew that my guides who'd been talking to me all my life were real, not just real, but communicating with someone else where she could translate directly. I was awed that somebody was able to connect that way, because I hear things all the time. Now it's easy to pass all that on, but back at 12 years old, I couldn't. 12 years old was just 12 years old. So yes, I completely believe in spirit. But I started to say earlier, one of the things that they teach you when you're young is that God hears you, right? God reads your heart. God knows you better than anybody on earth can know you. That is how I was raised. That was the God I was taught. God knows everything. And also, you try not to commit a sin. Now, we were not, in Judaism, you're not raised with a heaven and hell. That's a Christian invention. And it turns out it is an invention. There is no heaven or hell. That's not what you're striving to go to or to avoid. There is the God of God, that is God, does not care whether you make your bed or not. Doesn't take points off like a Santa Claus. These are childish understandings of humans in their childhood, but we are getting past our childhood now. And as more people understand why we're here, we will have more of what we desire. Yes, no, there is no Santa Claus. That's always apparent. And Salvation Army. Yes, there's nobody sitting in judgment of you, which is a good reason for you not to sit in judgment of anyone else, especially yourself. The minute you start judging yourself, you're just screwing yourself because you cannot see yourself properly. Just like when you were a kid and you believe you're beautiful until somebody tells you you're not. They find a flaw with you. Oh, you're too fat. Oh, don't eat that. You're going to get fat. Oh, great. Programming, parent, uncle, neighbor, asshole, telling a child what not to be. And then they make them more insecure. And guess what happens when that happens? They put weight on. Well, yes, girls and boys exist and everything in between. So the point is, we don't get it. We're told the wrong things. But one of the things they don't tell you, you see, they tell you that God sees all, God knows all, and God hears you when you talk to him. But they don't tell you God talks back. Because if you tell a priest or you tell a rabbi or you tell anybody that you hear God talking to you, guess where they put you? Oh, I think you need these pills till you stop hearing voices. No, thank you. I think that's a song, Charlie. The thing is that we have to stop judging ourselves so harshly. We have to stop sincerely calling ourselves names. If you catch yourself putting yourself down, stop for a minute and ask yourself, whose voice is that? It's not yours. You were not born self-judging. When we start hearing judgment, the critical voice is somebody else's. It's a parent, it's a teacher, it's some authority figure that impressed us when we were very young, and it becomes the critical voice. And as we get older, by the way, the critical voice does actually change. You get new critics that are more damaging, unless you understand what this all is. So a child is stuck with these things and nobody's explaining what's going on in your head. I say that everybody's a little crazy. It's not that everybody's a little crazy. It's that everybody's got millions of thoughts going around in their brains. Well, let's say many thousands a day that are just random thoughts that arise. It's the brain talking to itself most often. It's just it's chattering to itself while it's organizing things and looking for information. And all this stuff is going on behind. And sometimes if you focus on that, it can feel like, oh, my brain never shuts off. Well, you're right. When your brain shuts off, you're dead, physically dead. So your brain is never down. It's always doing something, which is why we encourage meditation. Give yourself 10, 15 minutes a day to just completely space so that you have that few moments of no thought. So your brain can actually take itself out of gear. And inspiration, I mean, when that happens, you are on a direct pipeline with your higher self, and boy, do you get inspired. It's like instant download, and your brain is out of the way. So it's really a good idea to meditate. Is the person your the driver of your car? What's a vegan crisis, Rusty? I'm not personally vegan. I've got a blood cancer, so I eat what my body tells me to. So go ahead. What's the crisis? Are you medically a vegan or morally a vegan? Oh, that's good, Charlie. Then they'll pass and disappear into the sunrise or sunset. 70 is really not that. If you've got a straight away and it's boring as hell, you should see people in the desert here. Matter of fact, I think their minimum speed is 65. Now, I think they have a top limit too, but it's like not at all unusual for people to be doing 70 through not Las Vegas, Nevada. Now I'm waiting to hear from Rusty. I'm used to eating meat. Now I raise a hen and I cannot kill it. I understand that. Does the hen, is it a laying hen? I wouldn't call that a vegan crisis. It's just that you have a moral, emotional crisis here because you found that you care about this hen and you don't want to kill it. Okay, so are you in a position where you have to kill it? I mean, if it's laying eggs, you can eat the eggs. Average hen goes 3 years. Just needs good food. I mean, 3 years of laying eggs. It lives longer if you want to just keep it as a pet. And it does have a good purpose as a pet. They eat pests. They eat bugs. They eat ticks. Not a bad thing. You can use it to help keep the rest of your yard clear. I'm used to eating meat too. I limit certain meats, but chicken, I eat mostly chicken and fish. All right, just make sure you don't put fresh manure on your plants. But yes, it's one of the best. Chicken manure, very healthy for, yes. As long as your chicken is healthy, it's a good thing. My neighbors did the livestock. They had cows and they had chickens. And the chickens they did not raise for food, but after so many years, I guess, it becomes a boiled chicken. Strangely, is it hiding them? So you don't get like one a day. She might be a little malnourished. You have a rooster around? Because if there's a rooster around, they usually will produce eggs more regularly. Just don't let them get fertilized. My neighbors just gave me eggs, and then unfortunately they did take the calves away from the cows, and I hated that because those cows cried and cried and cried. Oh, a mood. Oh, well, I have heard of moody chickens, actually. Yeah, in fact, not too long ago, I saw a video on YouTube about a moody chicken. She had to be taken away from the rest of the chickens and put in her own cage with water and feed for 24 hours. And she was brooding. They brood. They sulk. Yeah. Well, she's a pet now. She's a pet. That's not a bad thing unless you're being told you can't have it as a pet, in which case it's a bad thing. Now, I don't know where you are, Rusty, but they actually have chicken rescues. And oddly enough, I staged a chicken rescue in my first book, Nomaris, The Edge of Remembering. Everything counts. So, is there a reason you have to kill her? Let's see if we can approach it energetically. Ah, not with a bubble. Come on now, no bubbles. Hold on. You want to make your own food. Well, that's worthy. All right. Well, how much land do you farm? Because traditionally, people growing their own food did not kill their livestock more than once a week. They ate a chicken on Sunday once a week. They weren't vegan, they weren't vegetarian. They just did not want to kill their animals. They used them for eggs, and they didn't kill them until, like they wanted a different protein. So on Sunday, because it was God's day, they would have a bigger dinner, and that would have usually a chicken. Good morning. Well, Rusty, I'm not a butcher. My grandparents were kosher, meaning when they wanted a chicken, they had to go to the butcher, who had to kill it then and there so that it was as fresh, and they could prove that they did the prayers and did it correctly to let all the blood out. I do not do that. I buy it, my chicken. And I realize to a degree that's hypocritical, but I don't live on a farm anymore. I live in an apartment, a one-bedroom apartment. And there is no room for me to even put a dehydrator if I grow my own herbs again. So I'm kind of stuck in this, I am now out of the country. I'm now a suburban or city person. So no, you can't even consider it. You have a fondness for this particular chicken. So make it a pet. That's not the worst thing in the world. Chickens are actually smarter than we think, and they do make good pets. It might make it harder if you get too close to it. It might make it harder for you to kill any of the other chickens. You might want to just learn to use the different proteins. You should be growing things like beans. Beans are a powerhouse, and in the country, field peas were a massive crop that they made sure they always covered at least an acre in field peas, because they can put them up for the winter, and they ate a lot of field peas, which is just another bean. What's the other one? Oh, garbanzos, chickpeas. Chickpeas, very good. Lentils, you can grow your own lentils, believe it or not. You have to know, if you're going to grow your own food and you're going to make your own food, you have to rely on the protein that comes from plants, not just animals. Because no farmer in their right mind, until all of this massive commercial farming made meat as available as it is now. Normal Americans and normal people in the world, very little meat. It's a good thing, like if you have had a terrible, debilitating illness, then things like bone broth, very, very good. Chicken bone broth, beef bone broth. Beef is a very powerhouse. When I'm feeling very depleted and I can't get enough beets, I get some beef. But because it's bad for you, really, on the other hand, you've got the high cholesterol and hardening of arteries, so I stretch that out. Like, I don't think I've actually had any beef this month yet. Or have I? Yes, I did have. No, that was pork. Nope, okay, no beef yet. Anyway, the point is, in the old days, people relied not on livestock as much as dairy and their plants. So look at what you can grow, which will help supplement and also frequently take the place of a live animal. So you're not going to be forced to kill everything. You can stretch all of that out by simply, if you have more chickens, they lay the eggs, good protein, complete, right? And you got to be careful. You got to keep them clean. You don't want too many of them, because if you end up with a disease, you can lose them all in one fell swoop. So cleanliness, very important. But it's not a vegan crisis, honey. It's just you don't want to kill something, and it's totally understandable. No one's going to make you. Yes, you got it right. You got it right. That's right. I have noticed that myself. See, down south, they do horrible things with dogs and cats. They have puppy mills. My favorite vet for 17 years, she helped close down 2 or 3 puppy mills, and one of them, when I was there, had 160 puppies, dogs of all different ages, being bred. They're supposed to go into pet stores and all this, but because they were the way they were raised and kept on wire cages with no padding, and the shit just dropping through because they would be neglected. They would just barely keep them alive. Diseases and everything. She had to rehabilitate all of these animals, and some of them were unfortunately not able to be rehabilitated. But one of the things that I noticed from all of them, they were so neglected and deprived of affection that they had all become just existing. It was like their souls were not in the bodies. They were just lumps of living matter. And the minute people started being able to bond with them, when they were able to break through and bring trust, it was like the lights came on. So that's what happened with you. The light came on with that chicken. You bonded. And that is what happens with all things, including baby humans. That's why the touch is so important. Yeah, I don't like killing things. And hopefully you're in a situation where you won't have to. Or you can keep it to the minimum. My neighbors were not able to kill their own meat, even though for years as younger men they hunted deer. Then they finally got to the point where they stopped going out with the guns. They still went out to their deer stands because they were in awesome places in the woods, but then they just sat there in nature. They said that was when they were just so peaceful, and they could watch the animals going through the forest, and without aiming for them, it just felt so good. And some of them aimed with cameras, so that was really cool. And I don't like killing things, Rusty. You're connected. So if you're connected, but I want you to also understand that everything that comes here is a cooperative. This is why I moved my art between stages. Everybody on this planet, including every animal, they don't take death the way we do. I'm serious, they don't. You see, all of us, without exception, agree to come here, and that includes the tiniest flies. They do agree to come here. They have purpose. They have a job to do. They have an experience to experience. It does not mean they suffer at everything. I mean, look, how long does a housefly live? How long does anything live? We have very, very short lifespans. Lace wings, ladybugs, all the stuff that we cherish in our garden, that some of them only live for one day. Just like some flowers. We see it from our perspective and our own concerns about dying and suffering, because we don't want to do either. We don't want to die because we don't understand fully that we are never dying, whether we want to or not. We are always a projection. Everything here is a projection of the greater us. and that includes the animals. So no, I'm not saying go out and kill things. You have to pay attention to how you feel, because if you don't feel good about it, you should not be doing it. All right? Period. You have to find another way. You can become a vegetarian. You can make up your own meat substitutes. You know, one of the things that I loved when I was down south, and it wasn't like I was trying to make a meat substitute per se. It was, I wanted just something I could make with stuff I made. I grew a lot of beans. I did not grow rice, so I had to buy the rice. I started making veggie patties with beans, and I didn't have to use any fake stuff. I didn't use soy because I react to soy. So there are ways around it without you having to kill an animal, in other words. That's what a vegan does. They don't kill an animal. They don't even use eggs. You can be a vegetarian and use eggs and dairy that you can purchase, or your chickens can lay the eggs and you can eat the eggs. That's not vegan. Vegan means no eggs, no dairy. Absolutely nothing that comes from an animal in any way, shape, or form. Even when I tried to be vegetarian, which I was for a couple of years, but I made myself really sick because I didn't understand what my body needed, and I wasn't listening, and I ended up on a tonic, and then I ended up having to go back and eat meat when I moved back home with my parents for 4 months. And they would not cater to my diet at all by getting me some just extra veg, and I ended up eating meat, and for 2 weeks I was so freaking sick. And that they were getting meat from a butcher. I mean, it couldn't be any fresher. I don't know what was in the cows, but tasted okay. It was just, my body was no longer able to really handle something as dense a protein as beef. So I felt it. But you don't have to. You can use so many different beans and veg and rice. You can make your own pastas. There's so much you can do that will fill you up in healthy ways without ever having to kill an animal. And if you get a craving, listen to it, because that means your body's out of balance. Do not stand on moral ground. Go to the damn store and get something that your body says. You'll go down the grocery aisle. You go, no, 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 yes. Your body will tell you. So every once in a while, if that happens, don't punish your body. For goodness sakes, you've got to take care of the engine. So do it. But, I mean, like, I don't want to go and kill cows. I don't want to kill anything. But I also know it is true. They do not hold on to life quite the same way. They don't know. I feel worse about a pig. I don't want to kill pigs. They're so smart. They're very much like humans, in fact. All of the animals, they all have their own lives, and we don't want to cause harm. But they don't suffer the way we do. They return to the center of love just like we do. So no one is going around going, oh, those bad humans, did you see what they did to me? They don't do that. Again, just like us, when we drop our bodies, we drop the cares that we had with this particular life. You do not take all of the things that made you miserable here back home. All of that drops away. So, again, how miserable or how happy you make yourself here really depends on you. The world will turn itself inside out to please you if you are out of your own way. But when you get yourself shut down with your own self-judgment, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad. Now, I understand, like, it's just saying this is just how the things are with my mind and body, but the mind is not on its own somewhere floating like a balloon above you. It is inside your head, and it is under your control. You can't control everything that it thinks, but yes, you can change the nature of your thoughts. You can change the direction of your thoughts. That is essential to you learning how to create the life you want. So, yes, you can change. We all change, and the older you get, you will realize that, guess what? I did change, huh? So it depends on what's inspiring you at the moment. You've got to go with what makes you feel the best. And if you feel guilty about something, then that's a no. No, you're going the wrong direction. Well, of course there's resistance. Listen, sometimes changes doesn't seem pleasant. Like quitting smoking. I loved tobacco. I can't stand the smell of it now, but I loved it, and I forced myself to quit, and I was quit for 20 years, and I wanted a cigarette for all 20 years. There was never a time in those 20 years I did not want a cigarette. And when I went on vacation, I had cigarettes. And then when I went back home, no cigarettes. But it never stopped me from wanting it. But then, 22 years after that, when my husband and I divorced, I went and picked up cigarettes again. Big mistake. I was even smoking half the amount, but it did terrible damage. And I decided one day when I sat down to write my second novel that when I finished writing the main book, I didn't want to go through withdrawal while I was using my creative energy. I wanted that to just keep flowing. So I said, when I'm done writing the first draft, I'm stopping smoking. And I said that every time I had a cigarette, when I'm done with the first draft, all gone cigarettes. And that's what happened. It took 3 months, and January 1st, I finished the draft. January 2nd, I quit. Only this time, because I programmed my subconscious mind by saying this thing, when I'm done, this is happening. When I'm done with that, this is happening. My brain was ready. My body was ready. I had no withdrawal. I do not care about cigarettes. I don't want a cigarette. They don't haunt my dreams. Nothing. And now I can't stand the smell. So when you work at reprogramming yourself for your own best interests, then things will change accordingly without you suffering. So you have to decide. It's like breaking a habit. You have to decide what you want. That's what you're going to program yourself toward. I'm not saying I'm not ever going to feel anything when I kill a chicken. No. That's not real. Those are words, and you're going to have 100% resistance. Of course you're going to feel something. Most people do not gleefully kill things. They do suffer along with the animals. Then you got the perverse ones who take jobs killing on purpose because they like killing things. And yes, they do exist. I had a friend who worked in different industries. One was in a chicken poultry farm. Another one was an egg farm here in Connecticut years ago. I had people worked with cows. And I found out that we have some real sick humans who love those kinds of jobs for the worst possible reasons. And we have to report those kinds of people because they shouldn't be near anybody. But yes, you will feel resistance when you're not ready to deal with something, or you want to look at it more closely. You might find out, you know what? This is a resistance that needs to be melted away with better feeling thoughts. I don't need to resist this. There's an advantage to you growing your own food, all right? There's a lot good. Precisely, Rusty. Precisely. Exactly. It's all different wavelengths, and it's all being governed by the law of attraction. So like attracts like, whether you like that or not. The more you think about something, the more you attract like thoughts. And when you stay on that, we keep that momentum, you start to see the manifestations of that. So you want momentum to be something good. You want to be on a happy talk about what you love. All right, now here's something about growing and having to kill your own chickens. There are advantages to doing that. Number one, you can make sure that their entire lives they are well cared for, that you give them the best possible life a chicken can have. You don't have to be affectionate with them, which will make you bond with them, and then you can't kill them. We know that, right? So you can't be affectionate, but you can make sure that they are free range, or you sweep up the yard, you rake the yard, you put down good quality food, you make sure they have lots of fresh water. You see what I'm saying? You do things to make their lives awesome as you can make for a chicken without actually tucking it into bed. All right, so you treat it like a chicken, but you treat it really well. And in doing that, you make happy chickens. And when the chickens pass over, they happily go back home and supply you with good food, because now that it's been a happy life and well fed with happy food, that means you have created a very high quality product with which to nourish your body, which is way better than having somebody else do it with no caring, possibly inferior everything, maybe not clean enough yard. You know what I'm saying? So you can nurture one or the other, all right? If you give a chicken, which has a very short lifespan in general, if you give it a wonderful life for a few years, while it's giving you eggs and you're giving it the best feed you can afford, and you make sure they're happy and protected from predators and bad weather, then you are going to be blessed with good food. And that's awesome. You know, you gave them a good life. They gave you the life back and supplied your life. It's a cycle. It's a fair circle. Yeah. So look, when I was young, especially, well, you know how they talk about people, the dog whisperer, the cat whisperer, the whisperer of whispers. When we're little, we're all whisperers of everything. We whisper to bugs. We communicate. Like for a while, I was the goddess of ladybugs. So I get it. You know, we connect. And the thing is, we can connect with anything we want. We have that ability because we're all so connected on a cellular level, on a cosmic level. We cannot disconnect. That's the wonderful thing. We can't disconnect. You cannot fall off somewhere. You can't get lost in the cosmos. And you can't be punished if you make a mistake, because the only person punishing you is you. If you think you've made a mistake, then you'll punish yourself. If you understand how awesome you are, you will stop doing that. You will support yourself. You will console yourself if you make a wrong decision. You will hug yourself. You will hug others because you'll have enough energy to do that. You know, people, all my life, I've been reading cards for 65 years. All kinds of cards. And I have heard over and over and over, like, oh, I love reading cards, but they make me so tired. What's wrong with that statement? Right there. I love reading cards for people, but it makes me so tired. It exhausts me. Really? You sure you're doing it right? When you love something, you're filled with energy for it. And when you're not, you don't have the energy. And we all know it, just like having a mate. We have a mate for a long time. We love the crap out of them. But then we have also our days where we're just tired. And it's like, I love you, but please go for a long walk or for a short pier today. Just get out of my face. I just need private time for a little bit here. I love you, but come back later. We all have that, no matter how much we love people. And look, even when it's easier not to say that to a dog or a cat, but even dogs and cats. When I was working on the first Nomaris story, I had 5 dogs and 3 cats. And a couple of dogs were very particular about how much affection they got during the day. So I'd be sitting there typing, and Biscuit would come over. Biscuit's the guy behind me over here. Biscuit would come over, and he would put his head on my lap, and it'd be mush, mush, mush. Okay, baby, I gotta work. And he'd be like, and I'd be, okay, I love you, I gotta work. And you're trying to keep your story in your head because you're writing a book. And the dog is going, and then finally he starts doing the head under the arm, like this. Pop, pop. You're gonna pet me or else. And you go and you get him a toy or a chewy, and here you go, baby, I love you, but I have to work. And that's not what they want. They want you. And they come back, and up goes your arm. And you know at that point, you might as well just turn the computer off, because your baby has to have that attention. But at the same time, you're going, shit, I'm on a roll. I'm on a roll. Oh, I love you, but I love you, but and then you step this dissonance up, and you're not going to really please the dog or you. So when that happened, I recognized that I have to be in a state of mind for my creations, which is happy. And if I was feeling frustrated or annoyed because a dog that I adored with all of my heart needs more attention than usual in the moment, it was like, okay. And I would shut it down and we'd go for a walk to the creek. And if that wasn't enough, we'd have to take a walk through the creek and into the woods until everybody felt okay. And then we'd go back and then I could sit back. So you work with the world. You work with the world around you. It's not a bad thing. All these little ninja stars, I call them, instead of being deadly, they are hints your friends on the other side are saying, here, make a left there, make a left there, make a left there. Don't eat that, don't eat that. Yes, eat that, eat that. Rescue this, don't rescue that. Help this person, stay away from that person. We're always talking to each other. And I have said this over and over, but on goodness, was it yesterday or day before when my BFF showed up after a couple of years? And she said she could hear me talking to her. I was. A couple days early, I said, here to her, Trish, I'm coming into New York. I'm not sure when, but do you think we can meet? I know you're upstate New York, but I'm not sure how far. Can you get to the train and get into the city? And she showed up. What's going on? I've been thinking about you. All right? That's how it works. When all those things that seem to be synchronicities or coincidence. If you understood, coincidence means co-incidence. Coincidence, where we are co-creators. I'm absolutely coming back. You'll be back too. Go eat. And I love you. See you in a bit. Oh, you said it too. In that case, I throw kisses in your direction. So, yep, everything is vibration. Everything. That's why I said math. I suck at math, but I do see things that I know will someday eventually be mathematically oriented or mathematically understood. So I know all that math stuff, all of those attempts to pass down information through things like the Kabbalah, all of it is going to be relevant, but mostly to physicists. We're trying to figure out who we are, what we are, but we do know so much about it already. But we're here to further ourselves, to grow. That's why the connections, that's why all the support. We can't lose the support. All we can do is cut it off by being unhappy. And as minute we start to go unhappy, we start squeezing these pipelines. We don't disconnect them. We'll never disconnect them. But we squeeze them. We squeeze them and less energy can get through. And they're going, hey, we got it all, we got it all, we got it all. Just get out of your own way, damn it. Go to sleep. Break the pattern. Look at that rain. Can you see it? How hard it is raining. It looks like a monsoon. I'm so glad that we have a rescue corner for animals on this. It's right at the edge of our property. And it's a 3 or 4 like cat things that are covered, and inside are folded blankets and stuff like that, so it keeps them warm in the winter. It also gives them shelter from storms. So it's so nice, and it's they're off the ground. Yeah, and so we have people who volunteer to feed them, and one of our residents, she's 90 years old, she gets out there twice a day, and she brings food, dry and wet, for the feral cats and anything else that comes by, like a raccoon or possum, the woods. So there's food, and then she goes back out at 4 o'clock, cleans up whatever is not gone, and then puts fresh food down at 4. And she's not the only one, but she's out there twice a day. And if she's down, I take over, and her daughter takes over. So there's people who live way out back in these townhouses, and they also have rescued their own animals, and they contribute to the rescue corner. So I really love that, because I'm not in a position to personally rescue anybody anymore. but I used to be an animal rescuer. So when you live in the country, it's the only way to be. As far as I'm concerned, you take care of the world. The world comes to you. You don't go looking. We lived so far out in the woods that people used to dump animals on us all the time, because they didn't see our house. So we were down in a hole and surrounded by woods. So they didn't know, and they took advantage of that not seeing, and they would drop off animals. Why is Google Chrome putting things up here? I don't care. I don't know what that was. I guess somebody liked a comment they made somewhere. And suddenly all this stuff comes up over the chat. It's like, no, stop that. Hold on a second. Okay. Boy, it's so touchy, screeny. All right, so this looks like it is nice and dry, which means it's ready for the next layers. But I think what I'm going to do, so that I can last through the afternoon, I will go make myself some lunch, move my butt, and make sure I don't have body parts falling asleep. There. So I will be back. If you have more questions, darlings, bring them. We will be painting all through the rain, all through the sun. Actually, it's easier for me to paint in the rain because the sun is cancer causing, you know. I don't like to sit here with sunscreen on. So I'm going to go eat. Have a wonderful afternoon.